Don in London, hello. It's May 21st, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance was alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect and never so. So, alcoholic, workaholic, relationshipaholic, all sorts of isms around substances and behaviour, which were repetitive and not always good for me. But that's not to say that all the time I was out there in the world drinking, it was all bad. An awful lot was achieved in terms of work, understanding relationships, and drinking to excess, either to be happy or to deal with sadness, and often to deal with unacceptable truth, the unacceptable truth of now. And sometimes the truth is unacceptable to us, and it's very hard to accept or even admit and accept what is going on. So the biggest thing I had to learn when I started to try and get sober was I didn't know how to get sober, and to learn a complete new way of life required some guidance. And the guidance I got was from medical, community, society, family, and especially family, very anxious to see me get well, or disown me because I was a complete nightmare to deal with and unpredictable. And that's where addiction takes us often. We hold on tight and cannot let go in the end of that which is killing us, and that's self-will run riot and gone wrong. So I'm circumspect about a lot of things which happened in my drinking days, and know that drink had an influence always. It took the edge off, and it changed the way I felt. So these days I'm very happy if my feelings change of their own accord, depending on what is happening in my life. So sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's just very even, normal, and quite extraordinary, where we can see what is going on and not be looking down or hiding. So I guess really part of the reason why I do these videos on YouTube is to share what happened and made my life work a little bit better, and without alcohol, and without, I suppose, reaching for more behaviour which would satisfy some sort of want inside me to fill the gap, this feeling of not being quite right or not good enough. So what's helped me? Family, community, society, all sorts of things. I've had some medical breaks which kept me alive, and on a daily basis I go to a fellowship full of unique, authentic people. So I can't speak for them, but I can speak about me and what makes my life tick. So the fellowship I go to is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I just heard it mentioned on a BBC programme on the TV about somebody who was trying to medicate away their depression, and the only medication they could control themselves was alcohol until it controlled them. I don't know when we go past that imaginary line of crossing the line into addiction. I guess it's always there to be had. And I went to 3 meetings of AA yesterday, partly because one person wanted to go with somebody at lunchtime, and then later because I felt the need. My head was cluttered, I was overtired, and I sometimes suffer from the other effects of other long-term illness, one of which is type 1 diabetes, and hand in hand is clinical depression. So it's quite a complicated triumvirate of things to deal with, and if I tried to deal with them on more than a daily basis, I suspect life would get so unmanageable trying to get it all right and perfect that I could end up doing myself in. And that's not, an overstatement, and I sort of have a half smile about it, because today I don't feel like that. But there are days when the world is very, very dark and it's very desolate, and I know I need to wait it out. And one of the phrases which was shared last night, I think it was let time do its healing, or let healing needs time, all that, and wait it out. Sometimes it's very difficult to do that. That's why I go to the fellowship meetings, because at least I'm in company, and misery likes isolation and keeping us away from, and actually company builds us up to look at some hope for the future. So this too shall pass was the phrase I was looking for. This too shall pass. Oh my word, how often did I hear those in the early days of my recovery, and think, yeah, but when? And the simple answer is daily. If we apply ourselves to 12 steps of changing our attitude and behaviour, and sticking with sobriety one day at a time. So I share about AA here because it keeps me sober. And the preamble, which is shared at every meeting, is at the beginning. And I go to mainly hourly meetings. Very rarely do I go to an hour-and-a-half one, but I quite like it when I do, because I get to hear more people share what's going on. But the preamble, which you will hear if you ever go to an AA meeting, goes, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I heard that 3 times yesterday, and my head was all over the place, which is okay. Sometimes we have difficult days where all sorts of thoughts and feelings flood in, and I've had a few challenges of late, just how to keep sober a day at a time, and that's all right. First 5 months of this year were very difficult. Anyway, apart from being difficult, I've been able to do a video most days and make some sense of life. I'm just checking my clock. Here, daily reflections, I use this here on YouTube. It gives me some shape to understanding where I am today and what I might be grateful for. And on May 21st, it says this: a list of blessings. One exercise that I practice is to try for a full inventory of my blessings. What did I have to be grateful for? I shut myself up and started listing the blessings for which I was in no way responsible, beginning with having been born of sound mind and body, and I don't know if I was. I went through 74 years of living right up to the present moment. The list ran to 2 pages and took 2 hours to compile. I included health, family, money, AA, the whole gamut. Every day in my prayers I ask God to help me remember my list and to be grateful for it throughout the day. When I remember my gratitude list, it's very hard to conclude that God is picking on me. And I agree, because He's not picking on me when I got type 1 diabetes from a virus, and it wasn't down to lifestyle, although I would have quite happily said it would be. We are human, and if we are subject to human things like decay, I suppose that's why you call it decades of living. We decay gradually. We get big and then we decay. And this too shall pass into something else, but I don't know what yet. Just checking the time. I have enough time. As Bill sees it for today, or just page 108, I'm doing these linearly. You can read as much of As Bill Sees It until you feel totally sustained and you can get out there and face the world. So it's good to do these in the morning. Learn in quiet. In 1942, a news clipping was called to our attention by a New York member. In an obituary notice from a local paper, there appeared these words: God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference, which is the Serenity Prayer. Never had we seen so much AA in so few words. With amazing speed, the Serenity Prayer came into general use, and that's said at the end of every meeting, here in London anyway. In meditation, debate has no place. We rest quietly with the thoughts or prayers of spiritually centered people who understand, so that we may experience and learn this state of being that so often discovers and deepens a conscious contact with God, or good conscience, or nature and providence. And for me, when I wake up in the morning, and it may seem a bit peculiar to do this, as somebody who is never sure whether they're agnostic, atheist or a God believer, but a believer in a right path maybe, when I wake up and I say the Serenity Prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It helps me move from what might be a problem, which is my internal workings, to a solution, which is to share my concerns or fears or feelings with another human being, and that can be anyone or everyone. We all need conscious contact with people and what is going on around us. So as to conscious contact with God, if God is truth, God is love, and God works through people, maybe just on a daily basis I'm getting some chance to make my life work for one day.